In this video, I'm going to show you one of the best free budgeting apps out there, EveryDollar. Now remember, living on a budget is not giving up the things you love, it's not living cheaply, it's simply making a plan for your money before it hits your bank account for the month. So many of us spend recklessly, putting money on credit cards, blowing money as soon as it comes in, or even worse, taking all the money that comes in and using it to pay the credit card off from last month. This is how we end up working 10, 20, 30 years in a job with really, really hard, passionate, dedicated work, and we still end up broke and overwhelmed at the end because we just didn't keep track of our money. Budgeting, and this app in particular, is going to change all of that. Once you do this for 1 or 2 months, you'll not only feel like you gave yourself a raise because you're in control, but you're also going to be enlightened about your spending habits, maybe about the income that you're making. I know when I did my first budget, I came to a lot of realizations, not only about my own spending habits, but also what I was accepting as an acceptable wage for the work I was doing. So let's not delay, let's dive right in. Now, setting up an EveryDollar account is laughably easy and quick. The whole thing takes about 10 seconds. I think all I need is an email address. And when you first land here, you're going to set up your first monthly budget. And if you just scroll through, it starts with zeros for everything. And here at the top, you're just going to enter in your pay for that month. And again, with a budget, you want to do this before the month begins so that you have a solid plan. So let's say, if you work a normal sort of teaching gig, just for this example, let's say you bring in 2 paychecks a month, and we'll say each one is $1,700. So we'll put that in for our 2 paychecks. And a lot of us are gigging musicians as well. You can add as many of these sort of pay sources as you like by just clicking add paycheck. So let's say you have a wedding gig in the month of July, wedding gig, and we'll say that pays $350. And let's say, you have a church job or something like that, and that pays $500 a month. So here you know what's coming in at the beginning, and now we just have to make a plan for it. And the logical place to start is to just put all of your bills in, and then you know what's left over. And as you're putting things in, you'll see how much is left to budget right here at the top. So let's go through. There are all kinds of sort of pre-created categories for you, but you can make anything that you want. So say for, if part of your lifestyle is, having Netflix, you can type that in. And I forget how much it is a month. We'll just say $13.99. And as you can see, for that one expense, it takes it off of this total. So I know how much I have left to work with. Most people's biggest expense is the mortgage and rent. So we'll start with that. We'll say in this example, it's $2,000 a month. I can see I have $2,236.01 to finish with. I'm just going to make up some numbers quickly for this example. Let's say the water bill is $80, gas bill is $50. Electricity, it is summer, we've got the AC going, so we'll say that's $150. Cable, the typical cable bill is, I think these days, probably around $100 if we have cable and internet. Groceries for a family of 4, we'll say $500 or so. And, phone bill, can't forget that. And again, I'm just making up numbers for this example. Gym membership, we'll say 20. Health insurance, that's a big one. Let's say that comes out to around $500 a month for most folks. Life insurance, which everyone should have, that could be, let's say 50. Auto insurance is another big one, 120. Homeowners insurance. And car payments, also another big one. Put 250 here. Okay, so see how quickly that now in a normal life it would take a little bit longer because you'd have to check how accurate these numbers actually are. But as you can see, it does a lot of the math for you. Now, in this case, we have a fairly decent wage coming in, $4,250. It's not a small amount of money, but you can see after I've put in the numbers for this example, we don't have a lot left to play with for other things. We only have $186.01 to do for things like saving, putting money in an emergency fund, putting money in retirement. And that's just not enough money. As you can see from this simple example, doing one monthly budget will show you that with this income and with this this outgo, it's going to be really hard to meet any sort of financial goals. We'll talk more about that in a moment. But as you go through the month, now this is on the computer, it's also in the form of an app. It's all very sleek, very fast working. As you're working through these budget items, like let's say, you have a grocery bill, or you're planning for $500 of groceries for that month. Let's say you go to Whole Foods and you make a purchase. You'd go to transactions, add new. And let's say you spent $97.50, add new expense. It's inviting me to do EveryDollar Plus. I'll tell you what that is in a moment. And oops, I forgot to categorize it. So on that page I just showed you, there is a place where you can put the category, but if you forget to put the category, it's really easy to add it. So in this case, it's for groceries. I'm just trying to find where I put groceries. Here we go. And then I just take this transaction. You know what? I'm going to go ahead and edit this again just so I can show you this. So where did you spend this money? This is optional, but I'll just put, in this case, Whole Foods. And then for budget item, I'll show you both ways. So you can select it from this drop down here, or if you like, you can just save it. It's over here, and then you can just click and drag it to your category of choice. And here on the right-hand side, it shows me what's remaining for that line item for this month. Now, here's where a budget can become really, really effective because, like I said, looking at this budget and really writing out where all of the money is going, I have a sinking feeling in my chest, even though this is a fictional example, just looking at this because, again, of this very small amount of money left over. So what that should send to you as a signal is a couple things. One, that we need to increase our income by whatever means possible if we want to reach any sort of financial goals. And two, we need to find places where we can cut. So in this example, of course, for us music teachers, musicians, there are always ways that we can bring in more money, whether it's gigging more, preferably in our case, finding better teaching jobs, whether it's a different job, asking for a raise, or just going into business for ourselves. So the numbers here we can always increase. But if we look down below, there are other things that we can change. If we're spending, $2,000, that's almost half, or it's about a third of the income. That's just too high rent or mortgage. We can move down in rent. So like, let's say, and I know moving is a big deal, but in this case, to try to make these budget numbers work, let's say you found a more reasonable living situation at this income. Because again, you can always increase your income, but let's say you move to a place where it costs $1,500 per month. So now already we have another $500 that we can play around with every month. And then one of the worst payments you can have every month is a car payment. Let's see. Yes, $250 car payment. It's been noted again and again and again, a car payment is one of the worst things that you can have because you're essentially investing in something you really can't afford that's going down in value. If you're making $40,000 a year and you get a $30,000 car, you see how the numbers are just a little insane there. But we sort of delude ourselves, and society deludes itself by thinking that, it's okay because we can afford the monthly payments. But, if you sell your $30,000 car and get, say, a $2,000 or $3,000 car that does the job, this becomes zero, and now you're getting closer to $1,000 a month that you can play around with. And again, you can use this for investing, saving, really anything you want by making these small adjustments. But again, if you don't do a budget, none of these decisions will be possible because you'll have no idea where your money's going. Get into this budgeting groove for a few months, and I promise you'll notice a difference, either by changing your spending habits, which is essentially giving yourself a raise, or giving you the courage to move forward to increase your income by whatever means you choose. Now that I've done this for a few years, when I did my first budget, I had that same sinking feeling that I had with this fictional example because I realized I wasn't bringing in enough money, especially for all of the hours that I was putting into my work. And I saw that my spending habits were not as effective as they could be. And now that I've been doing this for some years now, financial stress is basically off the table because I know exactly where my money is going. I know what my financial goals are for the future, and I can look forward to my career with total confidence from the financial side of things. I hope you found this video helpful. Do leave any comments or questions down below, and I'll look forward to seeing you next time.